'Tis a week before Christmas. 'Tis the last job of 2020. 'Tis a Bentley Continental GTC. Hello, good morning, and welcome to White Details. If you're thinking, bloody hell, he's using a pressure washer on the convertible hood, yeah, absolutely, there's no worries with that at all. As long as you keep your distance, it's a nice wide jet, a nice wide fan, sorry, don't use the jet in water, and you reduce the pressure of the water flow. It can damage the material, it can upturn the fabric, pressure damages the material, and I've also used quite a citrusy based soft APC to clean that, on the basis that I know the owner has said that the roof has had some repair work, so I'm going for the mild approach, and it's pretty clean anyway, it just needs attention on the edges, like we all do. Clay bar, decontamination phase, water, details, clay, pulling surface contamination off the paintwork prior to polishing. That is a unused side, unused today, and that's from the bonnet. It's not terrible, but it's definitely a process that needs doing. Colours like this, of course, as well, tiny little pinheads of contamination stand out and stick out like a sore thumb. So, wheels treated, they've just been towel dried for now. Come back onto the wheels later. Next for the car is going to be blown dry. I'm going to tape it up. And we'll take a look at the paint inspection. Right, I'm looking for the tiny little pinhead contaminants that I was mentioning about. Gonna be some down here surely. Okay, these two little bad boys. Whoops. 1, 2. Just above my nail. There. There's a small one. Top of the boot lid here. I can feel that one. Just lodged it with my nail. Alright. Splash of water. Some of them come off very easy. Gone. Whereas others, it was easy as well. Sometimes it can be really stubborn. I guess it depends how long it's been there. But if it's really bad, you should be able to feel it, if not hear it. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Well, that has taken far too long. Well over an hour to clay the Bentley. 10 to 3 in the afternoon, and I'm not even blowing the vehicle dry yet. I don't know what's going on. Right, first things first, with the vehicle blower, it's great, but before we start polishing now, although there's no moisture left in the car, it's bone dry, which is what we need. The chrome strips down the side, the window rubbers, areas where in the boot lid, blowing that all down, air flushes and finds and fishes out lots of dirt, basically. Stuff that has been hidden previously, but the air has blasted it out, and it's probably now on the surface. Hello. So the last thing we need is for the polishing to commence, and the polishing pad picks up a bit of contaminant or grit or dirt. So IPA the whole car, tape the vulnerable areas, and then finally at some point this afternoon start some polishing. the camera is now concerned, this is going to be, what shall I say? It's going to be difficult to document this one. The nature of the colour Silver Lake, it's unusual that I've not done many full white details on silver cars or white cars or lighter colours. It's always the darker shades. It's difficult to spot, difficult to work with your eyes, actually, to chase paint perfection. Just killing the big lights as I've just done has helped, and relying on the spotlight there. But also I'm finding the cars have a lot of paint. The owner, in their records, in their history, their service book, they do actually have record of some repair work at the front end. Quite how much that's covered, I don't know. I'm going to receive that later on WhatsApp, I am told. But certainly this whole side, the bonnet, bumper, offside front wing, offside door, the only original panel I found so far is the offside rear quarter. So yeah, videography wise, this is going to be difficult for me to really show the results or the car's potential. As usual for cars that have had a series of paint work, it's always the edges, the top corners, the bottom channels that suffer the most. This is no exception, hazing there from an array of sender marks that haven't been pulled out. So all I've done so far with the polishing is this near side front wing, just doing some experiments. You can see on the door, deeper scratches and holograms, the buffer trails from rotary machine polishing, rotary mopping. That on the near side wing disappears. That's where I'm at. That's the clarity, that's the after finish that I'm trying to push for. So although at a glance it doesn't look bad, and on camera it still doesn't look bad, with the right lights, manipulating the light sources, you can see there is plenty to get stuck into and to remove. With the big lights back on, I'm going to do my best to quickly walk you around the car, pointing out some of the areas of concern. Love it when you find this. So on the light clusters, you've got the swirls, you've got scratches, a bit on this left side. There, that's a cluster of sender marks. So when this rear wing has been prepped and flatted and polished after the respray, the pads overlapped onto the light cluster, sanding the plastic. I think it's going to be best, just rather than doing a full assessment here, just picking out, pinpointing befores and afters as I get there. On the bonnet, the light's just caught a series of scratches there. Comes across to the very edge. Headlights are pretty weird. They've suffered from possibly overspray or just looking generally quite cruddy. Do what we can to them later. With the tape now removed, more signs of respray work. On the rubbers between the doors, you can see quite clearly there is blue paint. Probably get a toothpick to that. A bit later on. Bit of corrosion down here, had to be careful of as well. Common on these models. Bit of a drip, some paint defect there. And then underneath the handle, just spotted some more sanding marks. The car as a whole doesn't look bad, but once we start to inspect, once we start to scrutinise, there is clearly room for improvement. It just may not come across as that much of an epic transformation on camera. Top of the door, this is after one cut, one very thorough, extended, lengthy cut, but you will see scratch, you will see scratch, 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 and scratch. This is a white detail. It's booked for the full gold package, and don't get me wrong, we would get there. But I've taken the executive decision to speak to the owner, and chasing absolute paint perfection is a little bit silly. The car is used 3 or 4 times a week. It lives outside. The actual overall aesthetic afterwards, if I were to lower the full correction, chasing 95% plus, to let's say a minor major, somewhere between a minor correction and a major correction, sort of get 80 to 90% correction, which on this colour, with all said and done, is absolutely perfect. Just going to confirm my findings or thoughts about the paintwork, which areas have had paint. And also because it has had a bag full of paint, actually chasing 100% or 95% plus maybe isn't sensible. So, when this vehicle, I don't even know what year it is, I think this shape is 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. When this vehicle rolled off the production line in Crewe, paint thickness, I would like to say Aston Martin, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, they're going to be higher than the average. The VWs, Audis, Mercs, BMWs, Renault. Thickness in the region of 150 to sometimes breaking 200 microns. That is an overall reading from the metal to the base, primer, colour and lacquer. Now, usually when we start to see figures over 200 microns, that is a telltale sign that it's had a respray work. Visually, this rear wing is standard. And when I say standard, I mean original. 216, could be original. There we go. Yeah. Onto the door, we're going to be thicker. Visually, there are indicators that say that there's been respray work. But good to confirm with the thickness. And again on the wing, a couple of telltale signs that it's had paint. Little blebs. You would hope you wouldn't get that from Bentley themselves. So again, I'm gonna get thicker. Whoa. Oh. Oh. This has still been painted. I'm not happy with that. Look. Well, maybe it is. Bonnet. 270. Nearly 300. The wing that I've just completed. A-pillar up and over the top. Visually, I would say again, this is one that's been painted. That's quite the jump. That's been blended. And the boot lid, of course, is plastic. So this probe doesn't give us any readings, so we'd have to switch to the 200B deposit detector, which is in here. Other than the paint correction, just by looking at the car, can you tell me what other one thing would very much finish this model off in terms of detailing or treatments I can give the car. It's not been quoted for and it's not being mentioned to the owner. That's part of the beauty of this WhiteDetails service. But to me, when the wheels are back on, the discs look pretty dull, pretty oxidized, rusty. The whole colour scheme of this car, the chrome, the Silver Lake or baby blue colour scheme, the freshness of the silver coming in from behind the wheel will very much put the icing on the cake. So I'm going to spend a couple of hours tonight now at 6 PM freshening those up. In thinking about it, there is a bit of a lip on the brake disc, so quite when they're going to be changed out, I do not know. So perhaps actually before I go any further, I'll speak to the customer to say, do you know when the discs are being changed? Because this is the situation, this is what I'm doing. If they're imminent, there's probably no point in changing them. But, I mean, probably no point in prepping them because they'll be changing new discs. But that's the front and rear side sort of prepped, ready for masking of the caliper, masking of the majority of the disc for paint to be applied. Combination of wire brushes, brake cleaner, and a scouring sort of pad thing. It's just taking all the loose, rough, flaky, dead surface off, like the offside here, which is my next job. Good news, the owner says yes, sure, go ahead. The discs are actually being changed early 2022. So there's a year left on them before they're going to be replaced and changed out. A second very light dusting on the rear, shaping up quite well. And then I've got the front masked ready to go. I know some people don't tape the disc as such, and even if you do get paint on the disc, not the end of the world, because I'd rather just not contaminate the pad. But the first time the car is used, if you do have an excess of 10mm paint above this line, when the brakes are used, it's going to do a clean cut around the circumference of the disc anyway, but I'd just, as I say, rather not get excess contamination on the brake pads if I can help it. And I know you're going to ask what the paint is. Sourced from my same supplier as the paint touch-ups, Fisher Motor Factors. It's Techno Grip Satin Silver. An hour and a half later, bit of a quick job. It's not worth spending hours on them because in 12 months time the discs will be scrapped. But wheels on, that is much fresher, much nicer. 81,500 subscribers. although the surrounding of the badge is now looking sharp, the badge itself isn't. Thing is, there is a little bit of crazing here on the badge there, but we should be able to run a cutting pad and a polishing pad on the emblem itself to improve that.
Filming today. So far I've been around the back, still got the bumper to do, done the light clusters, you've seen that I think, who knows, I forget what I filmed over various days, and then I've been down the driver's side, still got the wing mirrors and door sills to complete. The headlights, I think we saw this earlier in the earlier sort of pre-inspection footage. There's a lot of dirt, grime, probably overspray. It's quite badly, lots of rub marks up in the corners. That's on the near side. The off side, they weren't as bad and they've responded brilliantly. They've just had some machine work and finger polishing, and then this one has just had the same, so finger work, machine polishing. 3-inch, very quick for the bulk, hybrid for the peripheral, and then finger polish on the blue, paintwork itself, and then tight into the top corners where that's easy to see. You can see how messy they are here. So I shall repeat this process for this lens, and then we can start the bonnet. Very much improved, but up here there's still some work to do. Much brighter, sharper clarity straight away, but still the very tight edges underneath the paintwork here, it's still heavy, needs some more finger polishing. You can't really get the hybrid in there, of course, being careful around the perimeter, but finger polish that top side some more, and they have improved
greatly. The beauty about having this rolling for the majority of the job is that in the back of my mind, I'm always looking for areas to pinpoint and show off and sort of point out. Now, there's a bit of hand polishing to do in the base around there, and then hand polishing in the painted section in and around where the glass sits. Obviously, you can't get machine polish up and into these areas, but what we can show, look how dull the chrome is. I know this is kind of a hidden area that's not normally sort of seen, but we know it's dull. We know it's tarnished and pretty scabby. So yeah, having the camera out, I'm always looking for these sort of areas to pinpoint, to show off. Closing up on the paint correction stages now for the car. We are low down on the side skirts. Obviously a high impact, high damage area, gritty. And this is after 2 cuts there. So it's going to be 1 or 2 rounded off deep scratches left behind. But bearing in mind this is a foot from the ground and a downwards facing panel. And lastly, there is this 1-inch strip below the door. This also needs attention. I didn't do these when I did the bulk of the door. I was going to save these till the end when the car was at a reasonable height on the ramp. Got some good gloss coming through. Front and rear bumpers have been sorted. Finger polishing on the undersides. That was all pretty grubby. Under there, hybrid work. Looking good. Delivery time. It's Thursday. Modesta's keeping me stocked up. Some of you might recognise the logo. Wow, that's very festive based. Merry Christmas from the Details Bible. Some of this. Modesta's LPS, the leather protection system, will be used in the Bentley EGC. Glass coating for the windscreens. Oh, this is Modesta BCO6 wheel coatings, 948 millilitres. I shan't tell you how much that costs. If you were wondering about this bit of wood, you can see previously somebody has just used a flat chock on the jack point, but these shielding sort of, it's even damaged here, it's ripped. But you can see here as well, it's been bowed, it's been damaged because these are lower than the jack point itself. So I've raised my access to be able to clear these 2 shields so I'm not damaging anything. And also in building the level from the ramp up to the bottom of the side skirt, it actually gives me more room to be able to work these sort of surfaces. Whereas if it was that distance off the ramp, it's a lot shallower, it's a lot closer, you're a lot more limited as to access and being able to get a machine underneath. Oops, it's nice to see that again. San Marino Blue M4 CS. It was work from 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. The owner is en route and it's been picked up shortly. It's actually been through next door, out of harm's way. But the owner is here in about half an hour, or at least I am picking them up from the train station. So we'll give it a quick inspection, a quick once over, double check some of the obvious areas. Unfortunately, it'll be dark by the time they get here. Oops. Someone's just turning on. Moving on to the refining stage now. The paint is that sharp already after the cutting stage that I can go straight to refining with Modesta's primer. '20 product guide. Valley Pro. Hello. Oh, something smells nice. It's in the mug. Ha! That's good timing. 2 mugs. Good timing. Just this morning, my Team Clean Tech detailing, I dropped. Thank you, Team VP. I realised I didn't show the camera under there beforehand, but because it is a white detail, what I've got to look forward to, polishing the back boxes, kind of visible from behind the car. Obviously sort the exhaust tips, but doing as much as I can to sort of the underbody, the under tray. At the front, there's a large under tray, which you can see. I'm heading over there now. Looks actually like on this offside exhaust tip, looks like there's a bit of paint on there, a bit of blue overspray. So front under tray, I've seen a lot worse, really. I've seen a lot worse. The paint, the blue, has already been tackled, that's been hand polished. So all I'm gonna do is clean and dress the plastics part of the assembly there. I've obviously got wheel arches to do later on. Let that dry out, and then we'll put a bit of a dressing on there in an hour or so's time. One down, one to go. Yeah. To exhaust boxes later, or 2 exhaust tips, 2 boxes, and an under tray that's dressed later. Ow, that's looking pretty good. I suppose now, bring it back down to earth and start to take a look at the interior. That's a big job in itself. Time to sort all the surfaces, the console, the dash, the wheel, the seats, of course, the leather. The leather protection is going to be in the form of Modesta's LPS leather protection system. What have we got in here? Handkerchief and chewing gum. First job, mats out, blow it with the airline to get the crumbs and the cracks and the everything sort of flushed off debris. Vac it, and then we'll start on the door cards and console. Okay, so what I thought was a handkerchief is actually, it's a Bentley face mask. Of course it is. Of course it is. This rear seat looks to have maybe had some recolouring. It's got some weird wear marks and tide marks here. Taking that central ski access thing out, pop in the ashtray, find a bit of blue trim. That's come off and snapped and previously been, someone's tried to stick that, so quite where that lives, I don't know. Carpet in the middle is obviously quite clean and nice because that's had the overmat, but you can see the dirt and the discoloration of the surrounding carpets. I would say there's a good 4 or 5 hours to tackle this interior. Any cracks and crumbs down here? Oh dear, it's all very stiff. Various wear sections, heels and toes have booted the dashboard. That's a shame, the leather's got an impression there. Appreciate at the minute this interior colour combination and possibly the exterior, maybe not everybody's cup of tea, but I believe that once it's finished, the most of this door card has been completed. It's a lot fresher, it's a lot more matte, it's really quite factory. Now, apart from the door pocket, oh, my knee pops. Apart from the door pocket, you can see the diagonal 50-50, clean, dirty. I'm going to do some more of them. So when the entire thing is cleaned, I reckon it's going to be quite a nice place to be. The trouble is, especially with convertibles being exposed to the elements more often, the materials are pretty hardy in this vehicle. They are quite textured, quite stubborn, and quite dirty. Actually, they're quite ingrained over the years of exposure. So as a result, I'm having to go quite aggressive. Areas, little scuffs. That said, there are areas of damage and tears, rips. So it isn't going to be perfect. But if this door card is anything to go by, I'm sure it will be $1 million when complete. More 50-50s, this time on the offside rear armrest. Bearing in mind, how often will you actually get someone sat back here? Meh. Alexa, pause.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Yes, you do.
That is
This is the colour of the extraction water from just doing the 4 floor mats, the overmats from the car. This is the extraction from What was this from? Door cards, I think. Bit of a mixture of everything bucket. By the way, today is WhiteDetails' biggest fans' birthdays. My mum. Happy birthday to Sheila, my mum. She reads every single comment. She reads more than me, I think, actually. Sorry, of course, we're not able to see you tonight, but we've got plenty of time to catch up over Christmas. But if you would like to leave my mum a nice happy birthday message in the comments, feel free. More rinse water coming up, this time from the leather. Quick tip, if you're applying protection to fabrics, if there's a leather hem here, just wipe off the residue off the hem, or if the floor mats have the plastic buckles where they attach to the carpet, they're worth giving a wipe as well. The retaining spring from the caliper has been returned after some refurb work. So before and after. The owner doesn't know about this. This is something I've just done sort of off my own back. It really would have let the car down, especially with doing the discs. This, just that little bit extra. Really chuffed with that. Very nice, well worth the effort. Thank you to my friends at PB Padded Coatings. Their details are on the screen now. When it comes to the toothpickery, which is a cocktail stick and a slightly bigger brodler for the bigger panel gaps within the microfiber and around the edges and the panel gaps and all that sort of stuff, cars like this, there are areas where you have to be careful. Because we know already that this car has had a bit of paint, if I were to come along the door here underneath the chrome, which I will do, then get to the rear quarter, all of a sudden there is a weak lacquer line there where there's flaky lacquer underneath the chrome trim. So I could almost improve it, but at the same time I could almost make it worse and flakier. So that's a good angle. Not ideal. Just being mindful of delicate edges here as well. Look on the bottom of the door, flaky lacquer just above the chrome strip. But at the same time, it's these sort of hidden away areas that we're trying to clean up. That needs a polish, in fact. Bit more overspray here on the door rubber offside. The last 40 minutes have been spent on the nostrils down here, the chrome mesh grills. Blimey. Takes some doing. Very much improved. It was tarnished, heavy, they were orange. They're still not perfect, but they are way more acceptable. However, the middle one, this is pretty much where it's at. So you may be wondering why I'm not taking it out. There's the risk of breaking clips and brittle plastic tabs, but also having it in situ, there's almost a bit of rigidity there to be able to work on it in place, rather than if it was here on my lap, it's a bit of a fiddle having to hold it and work it at the same time with a bit of this and a bit of that. Honestly, I'm undecided. It's been a while. I've been needing to get one of these. I've been meaning to get one of these for a long time. It's an M14 threaded mini rotary head, interchangeable head. So you probably saw me in the footage trying it on the upper grill with a big cone. Meh. It was more efficient and faster actually for me to be doing it by hand. You've got the extra added dexterity to be able to get into the corners, whereas it didn't work for me. And this, I don't know, again, I'm feeling that undecided. Information is down in the video below, should you want to go and check it out yourself. I'm sure there are applications and uses that will come into its own, but at the minute, I'm struggling. Well, I have to say that came up better than expected. Come up better than the nut side ones, to be honest, and they weren't as bad to begin with. $50-50. Real stubborn up here.
going to look a lot like Christmas. Christmas, my arse. We're nearly there. Nearly there. I've got glass, got the interior shiny sections to complete, and then still the headlining. Once this infrared curing process is complete, still got the wheels to do and the calipers, and then I've got to go over with Modesta's M1 shot. Modesta's BC06, a high temp resilient coating for wheels and body, should you want to. Wheels, calipers and the front grille section, you saw that being treated with BC06 with the airbrush. Having spent the time polishing all 4 grills, the lower 3 and the main grill at the top, it is worthwhile being able to actually lock that in with a ceramic. And BC06 is heat resilient up to 1300 degrees Celsius, especially important for wheels and calipers, of course. Just realised it's a white detail and I haven't yet been inside the boot for the spare wheel. If there's a spare wheel, it will get detailed. So as soon as the lamps are out of the way, that will be my next job, before we lower the hood or raise the hood back up to do the headline and then do the interior bits with the wood. Nearly there. And also, what I forgot to mention is all of the door shuts, underneath the doors, down the door shuts, the lock mechanism itself, inside the boot, under the bonnet and the painted areas in the engine bay have all been hand polished. Also, this is the applicator, or one of the applicators that was used for BC04. Listen to how hard it sets. You certainly wouldn't want that back in your paintwork. Keep it coming. The rest of this in here is going to be a bit of a vac scenario with the airline coming into play as well. Let's get the nooks and crannies. Yeah, and then a bit of a wipe down and sort the material. Samsung's Voodoo tyre dressing used on the spare on the basis that it's a sort of non-sticky matte satin finish. Let's be honest, will it ever be used? We don't know, but if it is, it'll be the cleanest spare wheel on the road at the time. But also, if it was a greasy, high gloss, sticky tyre dressing, lasting the person, lady or gentleman that needs at the time of changing the tyre, is to then get tyre dressing on my hands. Up here for thinking, dancing for thinking. The spare wheel, well, looking much more respectable. Probably cover the VIN code there, but looking much better. Still got the carpet to do, but I can put all this back together, get the flooring back in, get this shiny spare wheel back in. A week later, many hours
the Bentley is complete. That's the last white detail of the year, it's the last job of the year, and that is thankfully the end of 2020. A terrible year, all around, I'm sure. Today is Tuesday, December 22nd, a few days now before Christmas Day. You will be watching this after Christmas. I don't think I'll have a chance to be able to edit this between now and the 25th, but many hours spread over the course of 7 or 8 days on this GTC. The vehicle is now complete, having received the full white detail. It was a difficult one for me in many respects. Early in the video I was getting frustrated with not being able to exaggerate or capture the paint defects of the actual polishing. It didn't really give it a true reflection, excuse the pun, of what was going on in the polishing stages. But it was a minor major correction. We're up to 90% defect removal from the paintwork. It's had the full interior leather protection of Modesta's LPS, the leather protection system. The wheels have been off the vehicle, treated with BC06. We painted the hubs or the discs. Hello? Speaking of Modesta, that's the Modesta WhatsApp group going. And then also my friends at PB Powder Coatings, they refinished the retaining springs and calipers for me. As well as that, there was the full engine bay treatments, the white detail, we sort of polishing the door shuts, any sort of areas that are inaccessible to the machine polisher are hand polished if it's body coloured. Fabric roof protection, a lot of time spent on the front grille, and that's about it. And I'm now sat here with a mountain of editing to do and probably about 60 to 70 gigabytes of footage to filter through. All right, before I sign off and we get into the end credits, if you will, and the after footage, I do just want to run a competition to give away for my patrons, the current active patrons that are on the WhiteDetails community. Here is a list of 139 currently active. As always, guys, your support is very much appreciated. Patreon or YouTube or Instagram, anywhere, but I need to give something back, and also going forward into 2021, I will actively be trying to work on my Patreon posts, the exclusive Patreon only content. So there are 139, I'm gonna pick 3 numbers at random in between 1 and 139. These are not in alphabetical order, they're just randomized in random orders. So we're gonna pick 3 to gift a £100 gift voucher back to 3 random lucky patrons. So minimum 1, max 139. Okay, 7 was just the default number when the screen loaded, but I need 3 numbers, which are going to cross-reference to the names of the numbers on here. The first name, 39. All I've got down here is James. Congratulations, James, I will get in contact. I do have your email address. 31. Nad Yerdwab. Nad Yerdwab, congratulations, Naz. And last but not least, number 6, David Nichols. David, congratulations. I know, Dave, you've contributed a lot, commented, posted, liked, and shared most things that I've done in the last few months, so thank you. In fact, I saw a post by Dave on the Patreon recently, and I'd just like to read it to you. Hard to believe that 12 months ago I didn't know my polish from my wax, my APC from my play bar, but thanks to 4 months of furlough and helpless sleepless nights, endless sleepless nights, I'm pleased to say that somewhere along the way I stumbled across WhiteDetails, and the rest is history. Countless hours now spent watching and learnt so much. Jim, thanks a million, and hoping that 2021 brings a different outlook for us all. Absolutely. So thank you guys, thank you to you for watching, for all your support for the last 12 months. I know it's been a rough time for us all, and going forward to Christmas, who knows what happens really. The country now, UK, we've got tier 4 down south, and then everyone else is just limited to the 1 day to see the loved ones, friends and family, albeit on a much smaller scale. So that's me done now till 4th of January. I'm going to be back in the new year on a big black Vogue. A Range Rover Vogue is the next job in. I may, however, take a break from the camera, so you may not see me here on YouTube for a month or 2, but be sure to follow WhiteDetails on Instagram for daily behind the scenes and updates. Like the video if you've enjoyed, it will help the video to grow, the channel to grow. Subscribe if you're not already. And I suppose with it being Christmas, I don't know where the mistletoe came from. Oh, and also, thank you to the Detailers Bible for the festive jumper. If you've got anything you'd like to send through, you should be able to reach me at the address on screen now.
With that said, have a happy Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas, have a happy new year. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
That's unbelievable. Is this your car? Jesus. It looks brand new. You sure you can get this from the factory, sir? That is unbelievable. I don't know what to say. But I thought it was shiny when I used to wash it. And then when you see it now, it looks like it's just come out of the showroom. That's amazing, Jim. Absolutely amazing, mate. I'm gobsmacked.